Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another exciting episode of SecurityGuideTV.com at RSA2023, the pre-show. It's episode 2930. My next guest, Mr. Mirza, Asrar Baig. He's the founder and CEO of CTM360. That's CTM360.com. Welcome to the show, my friend.
Thank you, Chuck. Thank you for having me on your show.
Today we're going to talk about EASM, DRP, and takedowns as never seen before, external attack surface management. Now, this is it's not a new concept exactly, but it's newer to me. I've been doing this about 10 years, I taught myself cybersecurity, and I haven't heard this term too often. Is it a fairly new concept that people are getting on board for?
Yeah, it is. It's a fairly new concept. Actually, there are very less number of vendors who are in that space today.
Now, why is that, though? Because it seems like a logical thing to do, right? I mean, more people should be in this space, shouldn't they?
Yeah, exactly, Chuck. And back in 2014, when I started working on that, the whole idea was that there should be a lot more technology platforms looking at the organization from outside and looking out for the organization from outside. And strangely enough, there were not many who were even looking and trying to do that. So we came up with the concept of what we today call DRP Stack, which is an integrated set of platforms which work together, including EASM, including DRP, including takedowns.
Explain exactly what you guys do, because I think this is interesting. I love your perspective. It used to be about firewalls and fortification, and we're going to build a wall around everything. It's old-fashioned physical security back in the day, right? They took those cues from physical security and built a moat. But of course, the smart people whose castle was not attacked had people out in the forest watching the castle way back in the day. So we've been doing this concept of counterintelligence, so to speak, for a long time. Tell us exactly what you guys do and how you accomplish that.
Okay. Let me first define to you the way I look at it. This is my view, and I would like to know your comment on it. But the way I look at it is that the enterprise security world has got sort of a confusion between IT security, information security, and cyber security. Once we define them rightly, I think there will be a much better understanding and control on the cyber risks. So what is that? In my humble view, IT security is all about end user, similar to the police, who's supposed to be providing the citizens a secure environment to go around anytime and anywhere. Just like that, IT security is focused on the end user to enable them to do as much more. Whereas information security is not about end users, it's more about information assets. They need to secure the information assets, just like the military, where people may die, and that will be looked at collateral damage while securing the critical assets of a country. So that is focused on the asset size. Now comes the part of cybersecurity, which is not about people. It's not about assets. It's all about the attacks and the attacker. So very similar to the CIA of the world, where the mission is they need to find the attacks and the attacker outside the perimeter and neutralize them before they hit their own grounds. And as well, if they hit their own grounds, that they are supposed to support the police and the military. Hence, that's the role of cybersecurity. With that role in mind, look at us. We are looking at the attacks and the attacker from outside. And our job is to first create an inventory of your organization, which is called the external attack surface. Once we create that inventory, then we need to be guiding you on how to fix the holes in the inventory. And that inventory is not just your host or your IPs, it also expands to your mobile apps, your social media accounts, your code repositories, and so on. And next, we use the same information, which is yours, which is in my logo is characterized as the white one. Then we go and look out for the gray and the black across the internet. Then we need to not only identify the threats or suspicious threats, we also need to neutralize them. So that's the bigger concept of it. That's why we call it EASM plus DRP plus takedowns as never seen before.
Well, I'm sold. I agree with you 100%. These take cues from old security, physical security models, which are multiple perimeters, right? We have our wide perimeter. That could be the city. That could be where you're gathering intelligence about what's happening. You have your property line, your fence. You have your building line outside. And inside you have that white spot, that core internal asset you're trying to protect. And if you don't have all these layers of security, you're just not protected. So I commend you on that. I think you nailed it. Was this a hard concept to get across to, I don't know how it is, your end users? Was this difficult for them to understand? Because when you function solely in the cyber world, you're not out in the real world, in the physical environment. And what's this difficult concept for people to understand?
Yeah, it's difficult because others, if you have it, the whole industry looking at it like that, it becomes easier, which is now. Now the time is that everybody talks about it. But a couple of years back, it was really difficult to make people understand. And at that time, when I used to walk into an organization, I'll tell them, look, in my past, before I started doing what I do today, I used to be doing system integration of security products, just as you mentioned, from firewall to endpoint. And we used to call it defense in depth, layered security inside the organization. So there has to be this offensive defense where you're going outside and doing all of these aspects. And normally it was really, how can you do all that? So unless you don't put it all together and you don't visualize it, you don't see it like that. Although today, when we go around to an organization and let's say are doing a demo call, we end up showing them their infrastructure and technologies, and they get very surprised because they don't have it like that. So the first question is, hey, how did you get all this information about us? What are you doing with us? So what they don't realize is that information is already out there. There are so many data sets which have all of these small pieces of information. And the job of the external attack surface management company is first to go and figure out what are your external attack surface itself in an automated manner. Not that you will define it, because if you define it, then you will only be able to tell about the assets which you know about. What you don't know about, you won't be able to figure it out. That's where, again, the same thing comes in. External attack surface as never seen before, where you don't give us any information. It's our job to find out complete information about you externally. And by the way, we call it hacker view. It's a hacker's view about your organization.
Well said, my friend. Very well said. Now, let's differentiate you from these other companies that are getting into this space. Tell us why CTM 360.
Okay. So we are unique in some senses that we started with an integrated model from day one. EASM, DRP, and takedowns. So normally the companies, the vendors, if you see out there, they will be either doing EASM. And nowadays, because Gartners of the world have already mentioned that these pieces should be integrated and there will be consolidation. So there's a lot of merger and acquisition happening. So if somebody was in the EASM space, they're going and trying to buy DRP. Somebody who was in the DRP space is going and trying to buy EASM. And organizations anyway have a big issue in takedowns. And I also make a claim there that we are the world's largest takedown company. So, and I can validate that. I have good reasons for that. So all of these pieces together in such manner are really sort of unique to be there. And we are quite mature in it, because when you talk about EASM, you also need to talk about the third party. So third party, although there are companies who provide you third party risks and risk scores, we claim that our data, because we are doing it in a manner where we don't want to ask the customers or any organization outside, like a data company, we believe that we have the best quality of the data. And then we can give you even aggregated view across a certain portfolio. Let's say, for example, NASDAQ. NASDAQ has got 4,000 plus companies. Is there a view across the NASDAQ 4,000 companies? What is the attack surface across those companies? What are the commonalities across those companies and so on? These are all unique perspectives that we have. I don't believe many or even some have this kind of an aspect.
All right.
Does it make sense?
It makes perfectly good sense to my small brain. And if you can get through to my small brain, you're doing a good job. I got to tell you, that works great. I've been accused of being artificially intelligent. I don't think it means the same thing as in cybersecurity, but nonetheless, let's ask about artificial intelligence. What do you think about ChatGPT and programs like that? Are they going to pose a new threat to end users? I think so. I mean, ChatGPT is not pointed at the internet right now, and if it was, I think we'd be in a lot more trouble.
You see, any technology comes with its own downsides as well. But there are already so many upsides that those downsides are negligible, in my humble view. Like when internet banking came in, then also came in the fraudsters who try to take out your internet credentials and try to steal money from your account. But the possibilities of that internet banking and utilizing it for the plus points is so high that you say, okay, fine, there will be a little bit of that, and that should always be there. Like, if you're in a departmental store, you know that there will be shoplifting, and then for that pilferage, you already account for managing the risk across a certain percentage. Similarly, with ChatGPT, it will be the same thing. You can utilize it for the best of your work or knowledge, and there are so many things which were not possible before, which will become possible with ChatGPT in all environments. And yes, there will be the negative side that people will use it for the wrong reasons as well. But the positive side will completely outweigh the negative side.
Every time I talk to somebody, I end the show two ways. I feel really, really good, or I say, oh, my stomach hurts. You make me feel good right now because I was worried about ChatGPT. You kind of lowered those threats in my mind about it. So it makes a lot of sense. Do you think that your technology could be flipped around? I'm trying to play devil's advocate here and used in a negative way. Because in a sense, you are kind of a white hat, right? Instead of a black hat, you're kind of a good hacker in a bit of a way.
You can say so, because we are looking and we are putting together a lot of data points, and it gives a perspective about an organization. But the thing is, the bad guys already have that. So why don't we want to know exactly what the bad guys can have access to? I'll try to transform that in a different manner, Chuck. The way the world is transforming, the good old days are gone where, slow and easy wins the race. You remember the nursery book where the turtle and the rabbit story is there, where the turtle wins the race and rabbit loses? That storybook should be changed. It's the rabbit's time. It has short sprints. You have to be really agile, and you have to transform yourself all the time. So if you don't do that, you will lose the race. And if the bad guys have a good view about your organization, you better be faster than them. And you better be knowing what your organization is displaying outside. So yes, you can be a devil's advocate. Yes, somebody can use it for the wrong reasons, but again, the same thing. Hey, you need to use it for the good reasons, which are many more than the bad ones.
All right, excellent perspective. That's a great answer. And it does make a lot of sense because they're already doing it. So let's get in the game and do it next to them and watch what they're doing. Very, very good. Now, let's hear about what's your aim for the next 2 years? What's your goal? Maybe what you're working on? Something secret squirrel on the drawing table? What's going on?
Yeah, because we are in this part of the world, in Bahrain, in the Arab world, and we have had good success here. Now we are expanding to the European market and the Far East market. Plus, we want to expand on the whole horizon of our offerings. We want to be more considered like a data company, not just a security company. Security is one of the good use cases. So we want to be setting up partnerships, global partnerships. We're looking for that aspect. Plus, we want to be putting together a better community system where we can get bigger players involved in it, and we become a platform which is being used not only by the customers, but all the different stakeholders, registrars of the world, social media, big tech. So everybody gets onto this platform, because this platform should be able to give you the right perspective about the threats out there and how to timely mitigate the high risk ones. You won't be able to do it everything all the time. You need to focus on the high risk one, which are for that particular time.
I love it, my friend. Very, very good. Any thoughts on turning this towards consumers? I could see some maybe high-end individuals, high-profile individuals, right? They want to use it.
Yes, there are two parts of it. One of it is that consumers will participate in providing all the suspicious and malicious activity, because at the moment we have to do it ourselves by looking at a number of data sources. So we want the consumers to be becoming part of this from this sense. Then we reverse it around and say, you know what? Because we already provide certain consumer information which we already have. Like if your account has been breached and it was found in some browser breach data, then it is there and you can know it from there. But not only that, especially the executive management, VIPs, their impersonation having across the social media, all of that could be detected from our platform and consumers can directly benefit from it.
Excellent information, Mr. Mirza Asrar Baig. He's with CTM 360. That's 3tms360.com. Check him out at RSA, everybody. This is a fresh new approach to an age-old problem. He's at the Moscone North Expo, booth 6285. I hope to meet you next year in person. I hope to get out there in person, and we'll do some more shows. So thanks for coming on Security Guide TV.
Great chat. Great chat. Looking forward to you. And if any of your audience wants to actually look at the external attack surface of their organization or their third parties or a bigger industry, they're most welcome to visit us at our booth.
Excellent. Booth 6285 RSA.